Hello and welcome to the YouTube channel for the Renaissance English History Podcast. Today, we are looking at two portraits of Queen Elizabeth and talking about the propaganda behind them. It is Tuesday, Tudor Portraits and Propaganda Day. So we've been talking about Henry VIII in the last couple of videos, and now it's time to move on to Elizabeth. If you are new here, a very special warm welcome to you. I'm your host, Heather Tusco. I've been podcasting about Tudor England since 2009. This is the place where I put all of my videos or all of my episodes from all of my different podcasts, as well as loads of extra content like this video right here. Quick reminder, TudorCon is about 6 weeks away. You can still get tickets to come in person, but not for a lot longer. englandcast.com/TudorCon to learn more about 3 days of learning, feasting, new friendships, awesome talks by Tudor historians, all in beautiful Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, on the grounds of the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. Going to be awesome. You can also come online with the streaming ticket. You don't have any deadline to get that ticket. You can get that all the way up to the event itself. But your deadline to get in-person tickets is coming up because I need to confirm numbers with caterers. So there you go. englandcast.com/TudorCon to learn more about that. All right, let's dig into Elizabeth and the propaganda behind her. So there are so many different portraits of Queen Elizabeth. One thing that differentiated her from other monarchs at the time is that she never granted the exclusive right to paint her image to any one person. So there are paintings of her from many different artists. She did, of course, keep close control over what images of her that were released looked like. And as such, the imagery and messages in her portraits helped to build this kind of cult of Gloriana that we still associate with her. So painters would work from face patterns. She would sit for one artist, and then they would all kind of use that painting to make their own patterns and make copies so other artists could do their portraits. I could do a year's worth of videos just on the portraits of Elizabeth. So we might do that, and we will dig in deeper here. But today we're just going to do two, one as princess and one as queen. And we're going to look at the messages that she was sending to her court, her subjects, and to history. First off, why were there so many dang portraits of Elizabeth? Portraits were commissioned by the government as gifts to foreign monarchs. They would also be shown to prospective suitors. And because Elizabeth stretched out her marriage negotiations for so long, there was a lot of buzz going on with potential suitors and portraits being sent back and forth. Courtiers also would commission paintings to demonstrate their devotion to the queen. The long galleries in places like Hardwicke Hall would have been full of portraits of the monarch and nobility. So let's look at this portrait of Elizabeth as princess. It's one of the very earliest portraits of Elizabeth, painted when she would have been about 13 years old. It's attributed to William Scroats, an artist from the Netherlands who painted Henry VIII after about 1545. Henry probably commissioned this portrait, and it's first recorded in an inventory of her half-brother, Edward VI, where it's described as the picture of the Lady Elizabeth, her grace, with a book in her hand and her gown like crimson cloth. In this pose, she looks demure. She looks pious. There are 2 books included showing her to be educated. She's studious. The smaller book probably represents the New Testament, and the larger book, the Old Testament. This will be one of the simplest portraits we see of her, and it's contrasted to the theater and the pageantry of later portraits. The early portraits as queen kept this feeling of kind of serious, pious devotion, which is no surprise considering that many still viewed Elizabeth as illegitimate. So she had to prove herself on the world stage. She had to prove that she actually deserved to be queen. She was still finding her feet as the monarch. The first portrait of her in her coronation robes is actually modeled after a similar portrait of Richard II. And that portrait of Richard II is actually only the second portrait of an English monarch that we have. She's holding her scepter with her golden red hair flowing down her back, which is covered in jeweled robes. She's looking very serious, very queenly, not at all like an illegitimate princess who would be later excommunicated by the Pope. As time went on and Elizabeth found her feet as monarch, surrounded herself with her able advisors, and brought some stability to England, the portraits of her became more theatrical and used allegory to tell the story of her succession and the Tudor dynasty, which was now so firmly entrenched. One of these portraits actually has two versions. The Family of Henry VIII, an allegory of Tudor succession, will be very recognizable to any of you who have looked at Tudor portraits. Obviously, this portrait isn't an exact statement of fact because Henry, Mary, and Edward are all pictured, as is a grown Elizabeth. This would have been a physical impossibility as Henry, Mary, and Edward had all passed on by this time. But it tells the story of Henry VIII passing the throne on to Protestant Edward, showing by his look and the turn of his hand toward Elizabeth, who would carry on the Protestant Reformation in England. Mary and her husband, Philip II of Spain, are pictured on Henry's right side, along with Mars, the god of war. This is a powerful statement of how Elizabeth saw her family. She's on the right on Henry's side, holding the hand of peace, who is stomping on a sword, followed by Plenty holding a cornucopia. Henry VIII sits on the throne, passing the sword of justice to Edward, and Mary and Philip are both painted in darker colors, while Henry and Edward are painted in brighter colors, showing that they stood in the light of truth. The painting was first commissioned around 1572, when Elizabeth was really starting to see herself as the culmination of the Tudor dynasty, and it was a gift to her friend and her advisor, Francis Walsingham. Of course, 1572 was also the year of the very famous St. Bartholomew's Day massacre of Protestants, which happened in France. Walsingham was in France at the time, and he witnessed and barely survived the massacre. It must have been a gift in some way to start with, to thank him for his service and to remind him of the rightness of the Protestant cause that they were both fighting for. It was repainted later after the defeat of the Spanish Armada. And in the two different portraits, everything looks pretty much the same, except Elizabeth has an updated dress in the newer one, and she looks a little bit older. The second commissioning may have been done to celebrate the victory of the Spanish Armada. So there we have it, the allegory of the Tudor succession, the family of Henry VIII and Elizabeth. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. If you've made it to the end of this video and enjoyed it, I hope I earned a press of that like button and a subscription to my channel. It really helps me grow the channel, reach new viewers, and you get videos like this put out almost every day. And who doesn't want their YouTube algorithm Tudorfied, right? All right, thanks so much for watching, you guys. Remember to drink your water. It's a hot one out there, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.